Hey y'all, welcome to SoulsReaper Healing. Today I want to talk to you guys about shadow work. What is it? How do you begin shadow work? I know when I started, I had no clue what a lot of the readers that I listened to at the time were talking about as far as shadow work. This channel is dedicated to helping others with shadow work. So I jotted down a few things this morning. I was discussing this last night with my teenagers about addressing the shadow, and I'll kind of give you a couple examples of what shadow work really is. And like I said, when I began on my journey, I myself had this same question: what is it? What does that mean when they say shadow work? Because we all start somewhere, and we're all in this together, guys. We're trying to figure out, hey, what is this that I'm working on? I don't understand what this means. I know there's a lot of questions, guys. I really do, because I've been there many times. But I'm going to give you an example here. So I want you to kind of visualize this with me. Whenever you watch a movie, let's say, and it can be any type of movie, but you'll see a person, and let's say their shadow is reflected. Like, for instance, we'll just use Peter Pan, okay? In the movie Peter Pan, where he has the shadow and he's always trying to catch his shadow, and the whole thing is, the shadow is a dark figure, correct? So if you look at it that way, the shadow being a dark figure, a reflection of you, but it's dark, right? So that is the dark side of you. The side of you that in most of our cases isn't healed. It's a space within yourself that we've hidden in your subconscious. Old beliefs, old patterns, things that you were taught to believe about yourself, things that you witnessed, that you saw. When we're brought up as children, the first interactions we have with the world is with our family members. And whatever they reflect towards us, then we would take it in as our own beliefs. But that's the part that we have to see within ourselves, because just because those were beliefs of our parents, grandparents, aunties, uncles, anyone that raised you, it doesn't even have to be a blood relative. It doesn't really honestly matter. Any of those people raised you with the beliefs that they were raised with. And if you can see that, you can kind of see how there's a secular, is that correct? It's a pattern, it's a cycle, okay? It continuously goes around and around from generation to generation to generation, until someone like you or me, like us, asks those questions. Why am I here? What is life really about? There has to be more than this. There There has to be more than what I was told. There has to be more than what I believed was real about me, about the earth, about, all those things that we ask ourselves, especially as children, because our imagination was more vibrant. We were allowed to imagine things. And then as adults, we become more grounded in those beliefs that we were all of those things that we were told we were. And then, our imagination, we tend to stifle it. We tend to keep it hidden because of fear. Fear of being who we truly are authentically. So as you age, you stuff those things down, or tuck them away in your subconscious. Most of us are not aware that we're doing this. Okay, I know I wasn't. But you tuck those away. And then later, and throughout our lives, we're given these experiences so that we can see these patterns within ourselves so that we can heal them within ourselves. But until you get to a space to where you're open to, there has to be more. There has to be something else. What am I missing? Why do I keep having the same pattern? Why do I keep having the same issues, the same problems? Why? I've been there. And that's why I wanted to talk about this today, about shadow work. So it's basically just, facing the dark side of you. The side of you which is all the things that you are not. Authentically. And your soul will know what is not authentically you. Because your body will react in a certain way when you react in a certain way. Like if you're reacting... Sorry, one second, I need a quick drink. If you're reacting out of a wounded space, let's say someone says something to you and it makes you feel a certain kind of way, like you'll have like this anxious feeling, or you'll just feel this roll in the pit of your stomach, and you're like, God, what is this? Why do I feel like this? It's because your soul is recognizing that your reaction to whatever happened is not authentic to you. Meaning, it's a pattern, it's a belief that you were told or that you witnessed that you thought was the way you were supposed to act. Like, for instance, my son, I use him as an example, was talking to his sister last night about her. He was talking about her constantly being coming from a negative space. And I asked my son, I said, is there something within you that is a wound, something that, maybe a trauma or a belief that you have that you are projecting towards your sister? Because we have to remember, guys, we are mirrors. Every person or experience you come across in your life is a mirror back to you of what you're projecting outwards. So if you're projecting anger outwards, have you noticed that you get that back? You project love outwards, you get that back. Anything you project outside of yourself will be projected back to you, just as a mirror works, right? So, if you have a specific wound, something, it could have been someone told you when you were young, even when you get older, because this happens throughout life, because we have to see the wounds within ourselves in order to change that pattern, to break that chain. So, and I know, I'm sorry guys that if I'm going in circles here, it's just I'm kind of going with what I'm feeling and what I'm hearing as I, I'm just channeling basically. But you kind of have to ask yourself, what belief, what were you told that made you feel a certain way, to where you have to feel like, for example, someone says something to you and it makes you want to respond in a angry way. Someone says something like, oh, well, I don't know why you think you can do that. Something like that. And then within yourself, you feel this rise, this anxiousness, this anger. But have you ever asked yourself why? Why do you feel that way? It's because there is a wound there. There is a belief there. It's a wound or a belief that either you witnessed, because either your parents reacted that way or whoever raised you reacted that way, and you believe that that's how you are supposed to react. But your body will act funny whenever you do react that way. You'll start, getting anxious and shaking and jittery and upset, and because it's something within you that you haven't healed. And this is why shadow work is something that a lot of us did not want to do, because it's addressing yourself. You're going within yourself. You're looking at the things that you do and say and how you react on a daily basis. And I've said this for a long time, the hardest thing you ever have to do in this life is face yourself. But that's the only way you can heal. That's the only way you can release the old patterns. It's the only way you can let go of this hamster wheel. That's the only way you can get out of it. It's the only way you can escape that cage, is to address the wounds, the shadow. So what I explain to my children, and this is something that helped me a lot, first look at what is being reflected to you by another, because usually that's how we learn, guys. If we're just by ourselves and we're not around other people, then we're not having those lessons reflected back to us. So when, because this is kind of the human condition, we learn from pain. That's also a belief. And you can change that pattern. You can change that belief. You don't have to learn from pain. But most of us, that was our pattern. So what I do, or what I've done, and I still continue to do, because we always are consistently learning about ourselves, is in a situation, I take a step back and ask myself, what is being reflected to me? And how am I responding to this, or how do I need to respond to this, which is most authentic to me? So one thing you can do is try to see each experience as a lesson to yourself. Yes, each thing that we go through in life is a lesson, but the way I channeled this morning was, See each experience as a lesson to yourself. It's like a reminder. Someone else is projecting something to you to show you. That's why gratitude is important. Be grateful for those who are showing you that wound within yourself, because they're reminding you, saying, hey, you need to look at this right here, this, what you're doing right now, what you're saying right now, how you're reacting right now. This is a reminder. This is something that you haven't faced yet. Hello, I'm talking to you. This is something you haven't faced. And yes, I know it's scary. And I know it's painful. But when you can face it and recognize it, then after you have recognized what that is and where it stems from, and each time that lesson pops into your life, you won't handle it the same way. Each time you evolve, you change the way that you see it, you change the way that you respond to it. And in turn, that raises your self-esteem. That shows you, you know what? I didn't do the same thing. I know what that wound is. I know why that triggered me. And I know I still have work to do. Because we always have work to do, guys. It's never ending. It's a constant process. But as you get further on this journey we call life, it becomes easier. Because you understand the trigger. You understand what that person is showing you. You understand the lesson. You understand how they are assisting you on this journey, instead of looking at it in an opposite manner of a victim mentality, like, oh, well, they did this to me. I was there. Change the way you view it. Change your perspective. What lesson, what are they showing me? What is it within me that I need to address? There are many things, guys, many lessons, many. But in order to get back to your true, authentic self, to get back to a place of peace and harmony within yourself, these are the things that we have to do, and that's shadow work. And I'm sure a lot of you were like me, where it was like, okay, I hear them talking about shadow work, but what? I don't understand what this is. What do they mean by shadow work? What do they mean by healing myself or working from a healed space? What do they mean? And I had no clue. For the longest time, I had no clue. And I will tell you some things, something that I did that helped me. And you'll hear some other readers probably say this as well, but this is something that did assist me. Everyone has their own way of assessing their beliefs and their wounds and things like that. Some people type it up, on their phone, type it up on their laptop, and keep a journal of it on their laptop. You can use a notebook. I just grab a bunch of these random notebooks, and when I have these things come up, or just anything that is channeled I write it down. And that can be something that can help you as well, because sometimes as humans, in order for us to really see what's going on, we might see the trigger and recognize the wound, but we still have to address it. So I write it down, what was this trigger? Why do I have this trigger? Where did it stem from? Because you have to get to the root of where it started before you can have that aha moment and be like, oh, okay, I get it now. This pattern started when I was this age, and it was because this happened and my family or whatever reacted in this way, and then I decided to just stay silent and stay to myself, because that way nobody yelled at me or kept all my emotions bottled up, because when I showed emotions, I got a negative reaction. I got people yelling at me. I got people talking down to me. So if I stuff it all inside, nobody will yell at me. But that's the misconception. But guys, when these patterns happen, when a lot of these are instilled, is when we are children. Yes, we understand a lot of things as children, but we absorb so much to where we bury our true self for fear of what others will say and what others will think. I don't know if you remember back when you were probably 2, 3, 4 years old, and because I can look at my kids and remember when they were that age. And when you're that age, you're very free and open, not afraid. If you have children that are that age, pay attention to how they act, what they say. Because kids will say, oh my goodness, they will say all kinds of random things because they're not afraid of judgment. They're not afraid of being their true authentic selves, because they haven't had that programmed into them that there's something wrong with them. They're free. But as we age, as we get older, and we have rules and regulations and all of these things put into place, as children we interpret them. All of us interpret them differently, but a lot of us, it was the same things, especially different eras, different age groups had different types of parents. And whatever beliefs their parents had became your beliefs, became my beliefs. But does that make it true? Does that mean that you have to believe the same thing? Does it mean that you have to live that pattern? Are you being true and authentic to yourself? Are you stuffing those things down like you did as a child to stay safe, for fear of being judged, fear of someone lashing out at you? And most of you already know, fear, the false evidence appearing real. So, what I can say is see each experience as a lesson to yourself. Understand things from a different perspective. Ask yourself, am I projecting this energy? Why am I projecting this energy? What is that person mirroring back to me? Another thing I was talking to my son about last night, because he would get upset. He would try to help someone through a tough time, and they would project an energy, and then he would project it back. And he would get upset. I don't understand why everybody gets so angry and why they're so mad. And I asked him, I said, what are you projecting in this energy? And remember, we have the choice to engage or not. And we have the choice in how we engage. It's all about ourselves, how we are within ourselves. Are we being authentic? Are we being open? Are you being honest with you? And I know it's hard. I know it's hard to look at those shadowy aspects of ourselves. It is scary sometimes in the beginning. But one thing I've noticed, excuse me, is the further I've gone through different things and I've recognized different patterns within myself, it got less and less scary, less and less heavy, less and less traumatic. Because once you start getting further, you will understand that it's just a pattern. It's something that I have to change within myself. And when you can see it from that perspective, that takes away the fear. False evidence. It takes it away. It makes it to where you understand that it's not real. It is just a belief and a pattern that we recreate over and over and over again. Consistently live in a state of lack or a state of unworthiness. The list goes on and on, guys. We are our worst enemy. We judge ourselves so harshly. But we are all human. We're here to learn these things. And a lot of the stuff that'll come up, guys, will be some stuff will be things that you've already learned in previous lifetimes. things that you've already experienced, and it is being brought to your awareness so you can remember those things and know that you can use those because they're lessons already learned. So you're being given a reminder. Once you recognize that is something you've already learned, and you're like, hey, I've been here before. I know what this is. And I know where it came from. And I know why I do this or why I respond this way. So how can I change this? How do I address this so this pattern goes away and I utilize that to move me forward, to let go of the old, to create new patterns, new beliefs that serve my highest good? And those are the things that you have to ask yourself. What are my patterns of belief? What do I consistently do? And this is another way that a journal comes in handy, is you can you can write the date on there of when you have a certain realization, or when you are addressing your shadow side. You can write the date down, and then you can go back to that journal go back a year to the exact same month, maybe even the same day, and look at that entry you wrote in your journal and see what you wrote about. See if it's exactly the same. If it's exactly the same, like a similar situation or problem or thought, then that's something that, like for instance myself, something I'll look at and I'll say, okay, so this happened last year, same time. What is this pattern that I'm repeating? Why am I repeating this pattern? Where does it stem from? Why do I have this? Why is this a belief? And these are all things that will help you on your journey through your shadow work. And I understand, shadow work is, like I said, it can be scary when you start actually wanting to be better. I know that I had been in the space, this is what started mine off, is being in the space of I'm tired of living like this. I'm tired of the same thing, over and over again. I'm tired of the disappointment. I'm tired of feeling this way. I'm tired of not having joy in my life. I'm just tired. And that's where I had gotten to, that started me looking within myself. And most of us get to that space. Like to say, and those of you that watch tarot or read tarot, and the tower, that's what it reminds me of. That's a tower moment in your life. When you're at that space of, I'm tired. I want something new. I want different for myself, because I deserve better. I love myself. And this is where affirmations come in that help tremendously. When you're starting your shadow work, and I do this consistently, especially when I first started with shadow work, If you have to, write down your affirmations. I am, your I ams. I am lovable. I am joyful. I am grateful. I am beautiful. I am worthy. I am loved. I am whatever you need to put down on paper to help you see the beauty within yourself, to help you get through the shadow work, is imperative, because it helps you create new beliefs. It helps you remember who you are. In a previous video, I know I talked about a childlike state. It helps you remember that inner child, to give love to that inner child that maybe didn't feel loved, or feel wanted, or feel appreciated. It helps. So that's what I have for you guys about shadow work. I hope this helped at least one of you. And later, probably here in a couple minutes, I'm gonna do a video for current energy that we're working through right now as far as shadow work goes. I use this numerology oracle guidance deck, and this one I believe is a Soul's Journey deck, which will have different representations of different things that we work on throughout this journey. Patience, and what's that one? Health, all of these things. What's that one? Denial. All of these things are part of shadow work. So I love to incorporate these when I do readings. Yes, I do read tarot, but on this channel I like to use the guidance cards, because it helps me give you, and myself, because I'm part of this collective, helps us to visually see the shadow work that we are currently working on as a collective energy, because we are connected. We all have all the signs in your chart somewhere. Everybody does. May not be in your main signs, everyone has, you have a whole list, air, fire, earth, water. It's all within you, because it's all meant to work together to balance. But in order to balance those energies, we have to go through the shadow work process. So, thank you guys for watching. I appreciate all of you. I appreciate everything that, I appreciate you viewing this video, and I just hope that it helped at least one of you. And I hope you have a beautiful day. Remember, you are loved. You are beautiful. You're amazing. And I will talk to you guys soon. Have a great day.